Hola, and welcome back to the Life Podcast, where we explore how to learn, inspire, flourish, and evolve into our best, most authentic selves. I'm your host, Dr. C, and today we're talking about emotional and social wellness. I want you to think about a question. Who do you call at 3 a.m.? Not just when something is wrong, but when something is amazing. Who in your life has seen you at your worst and still celebrates you at your best? In our hyper-connected, digitally saturated world, many of us are feeling profoundly disconnected. The Surgeon General has even declared loneliness a public health epidemic, citing research that chronic loneliness can be detrimental to our health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But today, we're talking about the antidote. We're exploring the profound wellness benefits of a strong, lifelong social network. And I'm not just talking about theory. I have brought on 3 incredible guests who are the living embodiment of this principle. Today, we're joined by Shawn Blankenship, Gorley, and Che Jansen. These 3 men are accomplished professionals, husbands, and fathers. But they are also brothers. They formed their bond over 35 years ago at the University of Dayton as they were becoming members of the Gamma Theta chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And today, they're going to share what it takes to build a brotherhood that lasts a lifetime. Shawn, Joe, and Che, welcome to the Life Podcast.
Thank you, Dr. C.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome. So, 35 years of friendship is an incredible milestone. So let's set the stage for our listeners. And Che, I'll start with you. How would you describe the feeling of this brotherhood in one word or one phrase?
One word is tough, but I would say in probably the most boring fashion possible, unique. Mm-hmm. And when I say unique, it's because it's, probably not the most descriptive word, but we understand that we share something that not everybody has, right? Mm-hmm. We've talked about it at length, about the fact that, there are other people in our same or similar situation, fraternity brothers, but they don't necessarily have what it is that we've cultivated over more than 3 decades, which is an everyday type of relationship that we benefit from on a daily basis. And so that's what I believe we find to be unique. And I know just in our conversation prior to this that we'll get into some of the details of why that is, but we certainly cultivate it. We understand that it's something we need to feed. And so we've developed it over the years.
Yeah. So that's the intentionality of making sure that you're building as you go. So Joe and Shawn, what do you think about what Che just described?
I think to build upon a cultivation and intentionality is exactly the right word. There's also the word that comes to mind is accountability. And we look at each other not only just as Black men, we look at each other as fathers, husbands, you name it. And with that is accountability. So like we talk family, this is family. It's like you feel you're accountable to your parents, your siblings, whatever it may be. I'm accountable to Che and Joe as well. And so that's always the back of my mind. With the actions, with these two look at me and say, damn, why are you doing that?
Yes. Joe, what do you think about that?
When I think about these brothers, and I do call them brothers, the realistic portion of it is, we've grown together. We don't just nurture a relationship that we had in college. Our relationship has grown. So I know Shawn's daughter, I know Che's family, and we spend time with this family. And I think that's important. A relationship can't stay stagnant. It can't be 1990 again forever, right? And where are we now? And I think that accountability has to do with it. Yeah. I think it's also respectability. It's just enjoying being around each other. I think it's very critical.
I love that. And so we all face intense stress, right? So we know that no matter what you do, there are going to be challenges in life, whether it's from our career, our families, or just life. So Shawn, can you share a specific time where knowing this brotherhood had your back directly lowered your stress or helped you through a major life challenge?
Oh, yeah. Joe said he knows my daughter. In the traditional sense of the word, I have a child at the time out of wedlock, right? And it wasn't necessarily planned per se, right? And as I looked at that in that situation, there's a level of disappointment. You feel it wasn't planned, and how did I go to my parents and talk about it? These two were a sounding board for me before my parents knew I had a baby on the way they knew, because I had, we may, depending on how far the conversation is, we may talk about our different roles in this relationship, this friendship, and we all have different roles in this friendship. And Shay's like the mature one. So I was like, I got to go to this guy. Shay's, whatever age he was at that time, 30, but the maturity of a 50-year-old. So like, he helps me set the stage in my concerns, my fears, and says, well, at the end of the day, Joe says, you got to be accountable. You're here now, So that made me feel like it's going to be okay. My parents aren't going to love me any less. I'm not a bad person for making a decision or something like that happened to me, and gave me the confidence to go be the best father I can be.
Wow. That's amazing. Accountability. Through love, right?
Through love. It's never a judgment zone with us. Right? I've never looked at Joe and judged him for something, or Shay, and I don't think they've ever looked at me that way. And when
maybe little things.
We'll talk
bad choice on that shirt.
You got to hold people accountable for a bad shirt. I mean, look at.
Well, say less. We'll talk later. And even when you do get critical love from us, it comes from a place of love. It's not of wanting to make you feel bad or put you down. So when you have that trust and confidence, it gives you the courage to feel like it's going to be okay. So these guys are doing that to me.
Yeah, that's a strong support system. Yeah. Sure. And so they've known your daughter Shannon for since she was born, right? Or in the belly, as they say.
I was the first one of us that had kids. So
Wow. Yeah. And were you at the hospital? I mean, like how when Shannon was born, how did you, Joe, and Shay kind of experience that with Shawn?
So I have the greatest Shawn story ever.
Tell me.
So me and my wife, we came to see Shawn and meet Shannon, right? And Shannon was in a high chair, I believe that's what you call it, eating. And so she's eating and she has all this stuff on her shirt. So like the good dad does, instead of wiping the shirt off, he just took her shirt off and she kept on eating.
Right, just take the shirt off.
So that's what I remember the most. And today I feel, I look at the woman that Shannon's become, father that Shawn is, and all his brand. I snip her like that. It just shows you how men handle men's stuff.
Ooh,
right?
Yeah. And Shannon is an amazing young woman. And so great job with her. And I know that Shay and Joe, she sees them as their uncles, and she talks very highly about her relationship with Shay and Joe. And the relationship that the three of you have has also impacted her. I'm not speaking for her. I could just, conversations that me and her have had, has impacted her positively, right? And so that's always great to see.
Yeah, so it's exposed her to a level of crazy that I'm sure.
They make her steer straight.
Right.
Everybody needs that in their life, right? So, right. So, Joe, you mentioned earlier that you can't stay in 1990, right? You can't be a 19, 20-year-old forever.
Correct.
So I'm curious how the support has changed, and the challenges of a 20-year-old is totally different than the challenges of a 50-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So how has the way you support each other's well-being evolved over, since your college days?
Gotcha. That's a great question. And I think part of it is we don't have to see each other every day, but we always know when to call. I don't know what that is, kind of mystical about that. You always get a call when I need that. And I think it starts with respect, right? And when you have someone that you respect immensely, you love that criticality. You want it, right? I want to make these guys proud. And so as we've got older, I use these guys as sounding boards, and not just, politics and those types of things, but, family things and this men stuff and, how you're feeling. And we're not afraid to talk about those feelings and things. So I guess it changed from basically having fun to not going to be around each other playing sports or those types of things, to really being a support network about the holistic self, our entire self, right? And if you don't share your entire self with somebody, you're not going to get somebody's entire self back. So if you really want that type of intimacy, I guess, if you will, regardless of friendship, brotherhood, you're going to have to share it and get. And I think that's important.
That is important.
Can I build on that?
Absolutely.
And I'm going to give you a specific example that, I'm probably going with this, Joe. It's crazy. Joe is, of the three of us, has been the biggest proponent of men's health. Joe is, of the three of us, like I don't want to stereotype or I think we talk shit about this, but we didn't have aches and pains with blow off. Joe was fine, like his men's health, all those things. And he and I had a conversation one day, and the accountability, I keep circling back to that word. We had a conversation, and we were on going, right? And he was like, he's talking about his clothes. I said, "Oh man, I'm not trying to do all that, blah, 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 blah." Yeah.
You were saying, Shawn?
He said, "You owe it to yourself your daughter, your family. It's what men do.
Oh,
He held me accountable. And it's so funny. After I got done having it, if my mind tell me, first person I called, didn't call my mom, didn't call Shan. I called Joe. I was so freaking proud. I said, Joe, I got my colonoscopy.
wow.
And he was so proud for me. I was super happy.
Yep.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I won't go too few though, right? You know, that's incredible, right?
You're right. You're right. Absolutely.
I echo that 1,000%. And I think that when you respect people, and we definitely respect one another, it allows you to see that I don't have to live through something firsthand in order to learn from it. I'm definitely going to take Joe's knowledge because I respect him so much. I'm going to take Shawn's experiences and knowledge, and I'm going to incorporate that into the way that I live. So, Joe called me one day as Joe calls. We'll talk about that. What you doing, Joe? I'm out here walking. You know you got to walk, right?
You got to walk, man. That's right.
Now, it may have been 10 o'clock at night. Joe walks in at 9 times. But, so I have, and not to the level that he does, but I've incorporated that into my game. Like, okay, he's right. And I can make time. I mean, something that Joe is really good at is saying, I'm going to do something, and then setting aside the time to do it. And I believe we all listen to one another, hear what is going on, and like, okay, how can I learn from that? How can I improve myself based on, what my brother is doing, because it's making an improvement in his life.
Yeah. So it's like birds of a feather flock together, right? I think growing up, it's your parents telling you, you become who you hang out with, right? And so I see.
We talked about that last night.
Yeah, this conversation last night. Interesting. So you become who your environment is very important, and who you bring into that environment is very important as well. So what I'm seeing is this level of accountability that comes out of love, that comes out of you all being vulnerable and transparent enough to say, I trust you, and I'm going to trust you with everything that I have, everything that I am, so that you can then continue to pour into me. And every time I've been around the three of you, I've always felt a sense of authenticity, serious love, and accountability to like the highest power, right? Mm-hmm. And that's always been it's always left an impression on me. And me and Rod always talk about it when we leave. I'm like, man, they're some crazy guys, fun, but I love the brotherhood. I love the authenticity that you all share with each other.
Can I make a comment about
Absolutely.
that? And I apologize for cutting you off before your question, but when you described to us what the health benefit that you wanted to get from this conversation, something that struck me is that authenticity, right? You cannot receive the benefit of friendship if you're hiding something, if you're not being your true self. But I would say the one thing that has sustained us for, we have been friends close to 30 or close to 40 years in total now, is that we come to the party as us.
Mm.
They're
awesome none. It's all coming.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's really a shotgun of fun.
But what's great is that we don't have to dress up. We don't have to put anything on. Whenever we talk, whenever we share, if something's hurting, we let them know it's hurting. If we're not happy about something, we let them know that. If something hasn't gone right, we've gone through job losses, businesses not going right, all that stuff. But I know I can just say it. Why hide it? And they're gonna not only accept whatever it is for what it is, but they're gonna try and do their best to help me with it. And I think we all feel that way.
Well said. Yep, well said.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. So beyond the obvious support during a crisis, I'm curious to know, what's a hidden wellness benefit you get from this bond? So let's start with you, Che. I know you started talking about that, but is there a tangible wellness benefit that you get from your brothers, from being in these relationships?
Well, the obvious one for me is joy. So invariably, we laugh a lot. Hopefully it will come through in this podcast. We love to laugh and have a good time. So very few conversations that are, I don't want to say serious, because we have serious discussions, but we treat things with humor. I think that is our love language among each other. You know, whether it is the colonoscopy thing or somebody's having a health issue. I was just telling you before we started about me having back pain and going for a massage, and it becomes a comedy routine, right? So,
Yes.
Shawn is doing his best not to crack it. but that's how we roll. It is, you know, we laugh. Joe calls, and if I'm in the car with my son starts cracking up because he knows something funny is about to go. And I love that. You know, I if nothing else, sometimes, you know, I wonder, what would life be without Shawn and Joe? Like, if I'm the one that lives outside of the city of Cleveland, so I don't get to see them as often as they might see each other, but we talk all the time.
Right.
But the one thing that I need is that levity that they bring to my life and to every situation. I know if something's heavy, all I got to do is get on the phone with them, and soon I'm going to be laughing about it.
Wow, that's amazing. Laughter is the best medicine, right? So, Joe, what are your thoughts on your hidden wellness benefit that you get out of this relationship?
You know, that's a great question. I was trying to shake for articulate because he's older, and I was trying you know, what words do I use, some fancy words or whatever. But what I think about is at the end of it, like when I wake up on Monday and I'm going to go to work and do the professional job, I'm refreshed, for lack of a better word. Feels like I just, you know, it's like I'm refreshed. It's like if I don't, it's almost like part of your medicine routine. Like every now and then you need this kind of
de-stressor,
the de-stressor and just the fun, and the unabridged conversations and those types of things. So to me, it's like a refresher. It's like a little hospice almost. Like you can get away, relax for a little bit, and then go back to the real.
Wow. So you're re-energized every time you're with your brothers.
Focused, actually, too.
Wow.
Rededicated. Actually, a lot of other things that happen that Monday. It's like, you know what? They're doing good. I got to do better.
Ooh.
Have fun, you know, but hey, this is what I want to do. And they're talking about a retirement plan. Which is my retirement plan. It's not a competition thing, but again, it's that accountability to the point of, at the end of it, I can imagine us, you know, 10 years from now, being retired, still doing the same type of things. And maybe even stepping that game up a little bit, hopefully. So those are, the re-energy is really key for me.
I love that. What about you, Shawn?
Comfort, you know, it's maybe a man thing. I'll be a little bit more specific and say a black male thing. The weight of the world is on your shoulders, and sometimes men internalize and the stress. The point of this podcast, when you have folks that you can talk to, and you know, especially I know we have, you know, significant others in our lives, or wives, whatever, they are there to support, right? And it can be the shoulder, but sometimes those man things. And sometimes you're afraid to talk to a man about it. And when you have two guys that you can talk to, and it's like, again, it's no judgment zone. I can be comfortable, I can be vulnerable, and really, for lack of a better term, we struggle with it, you know, quote unquote. And know there's going to be a blowback. Oh man, this guy's on. Oh man, you hear Shawn, Jesus Christ, what's up? No, I love you. This is what you should do. And this stuff Joe just talked about, like that comfort, like, oh, I'm good. I almost recalibrate a little bit, and like, I'm good, because not only are we beholden to ourselves, but now it's crazy to say, old guys, we have the younger generation. How do we help them? So as we build and form our relationships, then we start trying to teach the younger folks coming behind us, be it our cousins, our sons, our nephews, close friends, whatever. Like a lot of us mentor young men, or young black men. We get to be the model for them, and the comfort that I can continue to dock in with these folks and be vulnerable, and then they accept me for who I am, and vice versa. It gives me the energy to keep going, and B, you know, share with folks coming behind me.
Wow. I didn't even think about each one teach one, right? How this brotherhood and how your relationship and all the benefits of it, how it can really be an example to younger individuals, and how they form relationships and how intentional they are when they're choosing their social network, right? Choosing their brothers or choosing their support network. So we know friendships fade, And Shay, you kind of touched on this. And it's one of life's hard truths. We know that people get busy, they move away, they drift. Life is lifing. And by the time you know it, 6 months have passed, or maybe a year. So you three have actively prevented that over the last 3 decades, right? Joe and Shawn, you both live in the same city, as you said, Shay, and you don't. So Shay, what are the practical, intentional things you do to maintain this connection? What's the glue?
Short answer, the glue is Joe.
Ooh, okay.
Because Joe is always, Joe's not gonna let but so much time go by before you don't get a call.
Okay.
And in his Joe voice, Shay, what you doing? I haven't heard from you. So, but the other thing is that the three of us together, when we were in our 20s, we didn't really keep score, but at some point we said, we've gotten together at least once a year, every year since we've known each other.
That was intentional or not intentional? Before we had that discussion, it wasn't intentional. Just, we somehow just made sure we had that connection. Since that time, we've definitely made sure at some point we're going to see each other. And then as life has gone on and we've had families and stuff, there's stuff for the kids that happens. Hey, you got to be there. We make sure that we're intentional about hitting those milestones with one another. One of the great things about our relationship is that, so I have 2 sons, each of them has 1 daughter. My oldest son happens to be Shawn's daughter's age. My younger son happens to be Joe's daughter's age. Oh, wow.
And they have their own separate relationships.
Mm-hmm. They grew up like cousins, right? Because I hear Shannon saying my cousins. I hear,
right,
so.
Exactly.
And so, my son's birthday is tomorrow, but he's having his 16th birthday party in a couple of weeks. Joe's daughter will be there.
Nice.
And just a week or so ago, Shawn's daughter was traveling for work and was in the city where my son currently lives. And we both asked them to take pictures, and neither one of them sent pictures. But they do their own thing, and that's an amazing legacy. I love it. But to answer your question succinctly, it's connection. You must be intentional about that connection. Like you said, if you're not intentional, then time goes by and you're like, wow, I haven't seen such and such in so long. But in order to get those health benefits of relationship, I believe there has to be frequency, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't take medicine once every other year and expect it to work.
Yeah.
You gotta, invest that time to get the benefit.
Yeah. Wow. So let's move into navigating conflict, because there's no perfect bond, right? And healthy relationships require navigating conflicts. So Shawn, can you share a time or a general rule how you handle disagreements or hold each other accountable?
I think, in all transparency, we've never had a knockdown where I just was upset either. We all have all the little things. What I do think, to answer your question, would be that anything I've ever would disagree with them or give them feedback on, they know that it comes from a place of love and concern and honesty. It's not from a place of any hidden agendas. We're pretty direct, direct, but with love. Shay's going back. We all have, you asked about the glue in the previous question. Joe is the glue. And as I mentioned, I kind of hinted earlier, we all have our roles. And Shay is the same. I think you kind of go to Shay because me and Joe tend to be a little more silly.
a little more sophomore.
Yeah, we're I'm the energy guy. He's the glue. He's the voice to reason. And to go to him and get feedback and he always comes from a good place. And it's not just feedback, because it could be something if I'm frustrated with, we don't get frustrated with each other because, again, we don't probably we're not in each other's lives enough to be on each other's nerves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of an ideology because over the course of our 30 plus years together, have we had some things, of course, we're human, right? We beat Joe up and send him on his way.
Joe the glue who gets beat up.
But when it comes down to giving that feedback, it is always from a place of, because I love you and I care about you. It's never of you're wrong, you're bad. It's how it's impacting me. And I'm doing this because I love you. And, I think because it goes back to that accountability. It's going to be a recurring theme in this podcast, right? Mm-hmm. I'm afraid of letting them down. It's like, shit, I don't want shit you pissed at me. Mm-hmm. I don't. Mm-hmm. I feel bad. Or if Joe's mad at me, like Joe and I talk a lot, like Joe takes these damn 11 p.m. walks to his neighborhood. He'll call you. And it's like, if he's taking the time to do that, I can't let him down. Yeah. So I avoid conflict by trying to make sure I'm super accountable to him. But if there is one, it just comes from a place of love and just saying, listen, this is unacceptable. You're better than this. We have a brand as the Gala, our line name, as Gamma Theta, our chapter name, and as Myth, our last names.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, reflecting here, because it sounds kind of whack and unauthentic to say you never had anything, right? But I don't know if you ever had a drawn out, I'm not talking to you out of anger thing, which is odd. I know it's odd, and it sounds maybe, not authentic, but I'm trying to reflect on it because I think I owe you the authenticity here. Mm-hmm. I can't remember it. Now, it's been frustrating. So we'll have a knockout debate about the Browns, or we'll do all that stuff. We'll talk politics and those types of things. But it can be passionate. Mm-hmm. But I've never gone away. It's like, man, that guy that made me feel bad, or I just never had that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that is unique, but I've never not talked to these guys intentionally because I was mad. Mm-hmm. It just hadn't happened.
So I wonder if that storming, right, happened when you guys were maybe in college, maybe during your process, and then after you entered Alpha Phi Alpha. I wonder if that was already kind of done, right? That the whole competition, the conflict, the feeling like, oh, he's saying that because of something else, or feeling jealousy or anything like that. Maybe all that was kind of worked out as your bond grew while you were, going through your college days and maybe through your process of becoming brothers.
Maybe.
What do you think?
Maybe. I have to. I want to noodle that a little bit. I think I have to noodle that to give it the fair assessment. I think at the end of the day, when I think about upset about these guys, if I'm upset with them, I'm going to be thinking, what am I doing wrong? Because I think it's legitimate from a place of love and those types of things. So if I could imagine these guys, like when I think about friends, and I have friends that you have associates, but then you do things with, and they're associates because you do the same activity, whether that's golf or cards or whatever. But when you have real friends, and that friend will come from a place and say, hey man, you know what? I think you shouldn't do that. I think you shouldn't drive. I think you shouldn't this. I think I don't like how you talk to your wife a little bit. You might want to check that a little bit, whatever, those types of things. And and you can't get mad at that if you truly believe it's coming from a place of sincerity and legitimate.
I would add one other thing. I think it helps that there's three of us. I think that, and again, I don't think that there's been any like big issues that we've, but I can, if Joe, might call me and say, hey, have you talked to Shawn a minute? No, I really haven't. He's tripping. Like, where's he been or whatever? And we talk it out amongst each other. But then we'll both call him.
Right.
You're like, hey, right.
What's going on? So you guys are triaging, right? And then holding each other accountable to make.
Am I tripping? No, you're not tripping. Okay, let's reach out to him.
Right.
And we're not convincing around behind each other's back. Either.
Yeah.
We're like literally like looking at like, hey man, I can't talk to Shawn. Where's that fellow?
Where's that young man at?
Dressed up as, you have to be part of the conversations. I've had this conversation before, and I tend to travel a bit for work and do this, that, the other, the third, and especially when my daughter was young, she was coming up, you get wrapped up in this world, right? And not that I don't love him, but that's what the day-to-day can catch you, like you talked about, right?
Mhm.
And he said, hey, that'd be good if he did this. He's not telling, it's not do this, but he's indirectly telling me this is what we need from you. And you're not holding up your end of the bargain as an example.
Mhm.
So conflicts avoided, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to that accountability. The only thing I would add, like, we had this conversation. If you took like an analysis of the Jansen family, Blankenship family, and the Gorley family, they're very similar, and we talk about both our parents we fortunately had both our parents in the house. So with that sense of accountability, like the expectations that are put upon you when you come from, strong family, strong center. And I know both their parents, strong, my parents, strong, right? Expectations. You talked about it earlier, like you are who you hang out with, you are who raised you. So there's that level of accountability we all feel with our families. And when they become part of that family, it's so, I don't really argue with my sister.
Yeah.
Because there's a level of accountability that you have to look first at yourself before you look at other folks' actions.
Yeah.
So I think we're grounded in that too.
I love that.
And when you're direct with people, that tends to avoid a lot of conflict. Like,
Passive aggressive.
If it's something like, hey, you're being too hard on your child, or you're, give your child some independence, some space to do their thing. We'll just come out and say it. We may, again, say it in a humorous way, but I think we've known each other long enough to get through the code words.
Right.
He's saying, okay, he's telling me ease up.
Yeah.
All right.
And so I love that you talk about the humor, right? The humor that you all you said that's your love language, right? Laughter is your love language. Humor is your love language. And it's interesting to hear that, because I see it, right? So I've been around you guys for a couple years now and hanging out with y'all and having a great time and all that. But I see the love through your humor. And when you're cracking on each other and making jokes about each other, it's funny, but I never felt like, ooh, did he really say that? Like I instinctively knew that it was out of love. It was just a humorous, crack. And none of you changed, your face, your attitude. It was just like you took it, you understood it, and you kept it moving. So, laughter is the best medicine, and you guys really have like perfected that.
I appreciate it too, but I will say that that's an area, a growth area, right? And I think like with any or with most groups of guys, there are times when you end up being the butt of the joke, maybe through a fault of your own, maybe through no fault of your own.
Maybe it's the shirt you wear.
And everybody piles on, right? So you may have, one of us may have started it, but somebody else jumps in. And next thing you know. And so I think all of us have been in that area. Joe makes this face that we call the Joe face. Joe face. And so, we've been there when it probably goes too far, but we've learned
how to reel yourself back in.
Yeah, and how to kind of cut it off when it's getting to an all right, he's had enough.
Yeah.
Let's move on to something else.
Leave him alone.
Yeah. I know I'm going for Christmas, sure. Maybe bury it next time.
So as we wrap up, many of our listeners are feeling inspired by your brotherhood, but might also be feeling lonely. So for someone who's feeling disconnected, what is the first, smallest, most practical step they can take this week to start deepening their own social network? Risk. Please tell me more.
Learn how to accept risk. It's hard, right? And that's it's not in the nature. Most people don't accept risk, right? It's not in the nature. We're raised to be conservative and scared of change. But you have to risk something if you want something, right? And so that person at work that you have a water cooler conversation with, maybe go to lunch, maybe have a coffee, do something low risk, but kind of risk something to see if you can get a relationship with somebody that you can share and cultivate. So I think don't be afraid of risk.
And to layer onto the risk, not everybody's personal situation and maybe listening to this podcast, you have somebody in your life that you'd hope, right? And if you haven't opened up to them, take that risk, but be straightforward. I think it's when you try to nibble on the edges that you're more apt not to jump in.
Mm.
So if you're very close to somebody and say, hey, listen, I really value our relationship. I trust you. You know, how can we be better for each other? And, you know, however you want to frame that in different ways. It's extending yourself out and extending trust to them to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Can you help me be better? And I can maybe in turn help you better. And maybe that's not for that person. And it's a process, but you have to start, like, take the risk because, you know, especially as you get older, you know, typically our friend circle shrink, right? So it's not like you have 100 people. So the ones you have, they need to be, if they're not helping you, they're hurting you.
Yeah.
And I think being honest and forthright and leaning in, like Joseph, being not being afraid to expose vulnerability.
I'll segue off of that a little bit. I mean, the first thing I want to say as we come to our closes, we thank you very much for having us on the podcast. And in no way, shape, or form do any of us think that we are friendship or relationship experts. We understand there's a great deal of luck that went into Shawn. A great deal of luck that went into us forming the friendship we have, and we belong to a great fraternal organization that molded us through a process that helped expedite our relationship. But that said, I would say you have to be authentic and unselfish. You cannot develop, whether it's a network or a deeper friendship or any type of relationship that's going to help you by saying, what am I going to get out of this? We've never, you know, just through the grace of God, been that way with each other. It's never been about one individual. It's always been about us helping and supporting one another. I think that when we first got together, it was to pledge a fraternity. And I think that was the goal. Your husband, Rod, would probably tell you, because he was leading us at that time when we first started on that journey, that the goal was to make us see that we were stronger together than we were individually. And I think through some extraordinary weirdness, we learned that, and we grabbed onto it. Yeah, that didn't sound right, but it's okay. No, it was just what I meant is an up and down process. But you know, we ate a lot of bad meals together. We had a lot of difficult but interesting conversations with one another, and it all contributed to us learning more about one another and figuring out that we needed to depend on one another to reach our goal. So,
reciprocity, right? So reciprocal relationships.
Good is diffusive of itself, right? I mean, if you're good comes back to you. That's a principle, right? Good is diffusive of itself.
Love that.
Very scientific. Phraseology.
And University of Dayton, right? So Shawn, Joe, and Shay, I cannot thank you enough. Your wisdom, your vulnerability, and the living example set for all of us is a true gift. Thank you for being on the Life Podcast. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Keep doing what you do.
Wow, what an incredible conversation. As I'm sitting here just reflecting on what we heard, I'm struck by one big idea. True wellness is not about self-care. It's about community care. It's about building a life so strong, so supportive, that you can weather any storm. We've learned that these bonds don't survive by accident. They are a choice to show up, to be vulnerable, to be consistent. So here's a challenge to you. Don't wait. Who is that person who popped in your head while you were listening? That friend you haven't talked to in a while. That person you've been meaning to check on. Your one step for today is to close this app, pick up your phone, and send them a text. Just one sentence. Hey, I've been thinking about you, and I'm grateful you're in my life. That's it. That's the first step. Thank you for investing in your wellness and for being here with us today. Until next time, keep on learning, stay inspired, continue to flourish, and never stop evolving. I'm your host, Dr. C, and this is the Life Podcast.